Hey, all right, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakak, Wadash. I want to say your double honor to the apostles and the bishop elders of Great Millstone for teaching us this word in truth and sincerity and for ruling well. And salutations to the elect, Lord willing, where some of those men and women. Hey, I'm my brother Gabar Yahweh. Today is January 3rd, 2025, the hopeful year of our deliverance, as well as the destruction of Esau, Edom, and Babylon the Great, Lord willing. Right? And this place has fittingly deserved the epithet of a destroyed place. You know, this place will be destroyed, and for many, many reasons. What this man has done to the children of Israel, not even a half is known. And so every so often you hear truths about how Esau, Edom, the so-called white man that is in rulership, and not all so-called white people are Edomites. You know, I believe this man right here is one of our people, him and his mother, you know, but that's left to be seen. But you're going to hear his explanation of something called the Devil's Half Acre, and look that up. It's in Richmond, Virginia, okay? And to show you what kind of disdain Esau and contempt he has for the tribe of Judah, you so-called Negroes here in America, for all that you've been through, for all that we've been through and continue to endure even to this very day. That site is now a HBCU. I think it's called Virginia Union University or something like that. You know, I got to look it up, but he's going to speak about it. But the point of the matter is that place in which grievous harm was inflicted upon the so-called Negro man here in America, who is a tribe of Judah, who represents the tribe of Judah, is despicable, man. And so I'm gonna let this man play. I'm gonna let this man speak, and then I'll bring out a precept. But hey, look this up: the Devil's Half Acre.
We moved to Richmond. When I returned to Virginia, we moved to Richmond. One of the first places I came down to was this spot where I'm standing. A friend of mine, a fraternity brother, invited me to meet him here. The Devil's Half Acre. This is the most notorious spot in Virginia. It's a breeding farm for enslaved people called Lumpkin's Jail. And Robert Lumpkin, who had purchased this place, was known for his excessive cruelty. Public whippings. He had a whipping room in the jail, but he had public whippings. And he, as part of his breeding practices, would have the men wear hoods so they couldn't see who they were being bred with. Because it could be a niece, a cousin, an aunt, a sister, even a mother.
Yeah, so this man has no right to ever take the Lord's covenant in his mouth. Esau, Edom, right? This man, he is the man of sin. He is where wickedness starts and ends. All right, Esau, Edom, this man has gonna pay for what he done to us, bro. He forced incestuous relationships on our people, which that goes against the law of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. He enslaved us and put rigor on us. That goes against the law of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Right? He treated the Lord's people as nothing, as cattle. Now, granted, this is part of our destruction, but like the Lord said in the book of Zechariah, chapter 1, verse 15, okay? Chapter 1, verse 15, it says, and I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. In the NLT it says, but I am very angry with the other nations that are now enjoying peace and security. I was only a little angry with my people, but the nations inflicted harm on them far beyond my intentions. And this is an example. This is an example of that.
So the men wear hoods so they couldn't see who they were being bred with. Because it could be a niece, a cousin, an aunt, a sister, even a mother. this is how sick this person was. Some 300,000 people were bought and sold and bred through here. The devil's half acre. The James River Institute for Archaeology, under contract with the city of Richmond, conducted a phase of archaeological investigation of Lumpkin Jail Complex, and they did unearth quite a bit. And through daguerreotypes and written word and so forth, they're able to reconstruct on a 3D model what it would look like, because there were images. And so this is what it was. Building 1 is where his family lived. Number 2 is here's the hotel and taverns where they entertain potential enslavers, buyers. Next to that, building 3 was the kitchen to help feed the visitors and his family. And building 4 was separated by the site by an 8-foot elevation change and confined behind a tall fence top with spikes. And the prisoners there endured severe corporal punishment, starvation, and deplorable living conditions. If you managed to live through those conditions, you were mostly sold, but you were also used for breeding. This was a program that was done to increase profits, because again, there was more money in people than there were in the land itself. There was more money held in the bodies of enslaved people, enslaved African Americans, than there was gold in the country at the time.
So we were the first commodity in America.
In fact, the bodies of enslaved people, enslaved African Americans, and there was gold in the country at the time. In fact, human beings were used as capital for mortgages. So one of the stories is told by Charles Emmerich Stevens, who describes the treatment of a captured fugitive slave named Anthony Burns. He wrote this record, and it's pretty indicative of the treatment. And so I want to read that for you, of what was said. He said, "Here he was destined to suffer for 4 months such revolting treatment as the vilest felons never undergo, and such as only revengeful slaveholders can inflict. The place of his confinement was a room only 6 or 8 feet square in the upper story of the jail, which was accessible only through a trap door. It was allowed neither bed nor air. A rude bench fastened against the wall and a single coarse blanket were the only means of repose. After entering his cell, the handcuffs were not removed, but in addition, fetters were placed upon his feet. In this manacled condition, he was kept during the greater part of his confinement. The torture which he suffered in consequence was excruciating."
Yeah, and that's why the scripture said, and to remember the daughter of Edom, remember Edom for what she's done, as well as this is another reason why you elites who going to be the first fruits of slavery, you're going to get those same fetters of iron on your legs, right? This is Psalms 149 and 6. "Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand." It says to execute vengeance upon the heathen. So we're going to execute that vengeance that you've executed against us, because ours is going to be righteous vengeance. What you Edomites put us through was wickedness, was evil, was unrighteous vengeful vengeance. It says to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishment upon a people, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. So it says in a NLT, to bind their kings with shackles and their leaders with iron chains. So them same manacles that you put on us, we're going to put on you.
Right.
We're going to put on you devils, man.
Well, the handcuffs were not removed, but in addition, fetters were placed accessible only through a trap door. It was allowed neither bed nor air. A rude bench fastened against the wall and a single coarse blanket were the only means of repose. After entering his cell, the handcuffs were not removed, but in addition, fetters were placed upon his feet. In this manacled condition, he was kept during the greater part of his confinement. The torture which he suffered in consequence was excruciating. ripe of the irons impeded the circulation of his blood, made hot and rapid by the stifling atmosphere, and caused his feet to swell enormously. The flesh was worn from his wrists, and when the wounds had healed, there remained broad scars as perpetual witnesses against his owner. The fetters also prevented him from removing his clothes by day or night, and no one came to help him. The indecency resulting from such a condition is too revolting for description or even thought. His room became more foul and noisome than the hovel of a brute. Loathsome creeping things multiplied and rioted in the filth. So what became of the Devil's Half Acre after the Civil War? Well, Lincoln's wife Mary, who was a former slave herself.
Yeah, and it was a Eve that helped forward this man's wickedness. She probably could have been an Edomite, but let's say, for conversation's sake, she was a Jake that was enslaved, right? She put hell on Jake. She didn't care. Not that she could do anything.
Leased the land to Nathaniel Culver, a Baptist minister, who created a theological school for the formerly enslaved. Who literally had to walk over the rings in the ground to which enslaved people were chained to be whipped. The school continued to grow and became the Culver Institute, and eventually the Richmond Theological Seminary, at which point they moved to a new location and took on the name Virginia Union University. A former prison for enslaved people, a former breeding farm of enslaved people, is now at HBCU.
You see, and that's a slap in the face, man. And a lot of these colleges and universities were founded on the blood, sweat, and tears of our people. So these other nations, you can't cry about your affliction or what you're going through, because you've never experienced what our people have suffered. Daniel 9:12. And he have confirmed his word which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as have been done upon Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is a people. There's a people before it's a place. And what we have suffered as a nation, no other nation has suffered in this way. But in the kingdom of heaven, you nations will suffer. And we are going to breed you out, but it's going to be in righteousness. Ain't going to be no incestuous relationships, but we're going to make you people procreate in mass numbers to give us more slaves, man. And you're going to be money. You're going to be commodity. You're going to be equity. You're going to be an inheritance for our children for eternity, man. You nations don't know what's coming to you, man. And especially you Edomites, man. You Edomites, man, you're going to suffer. Hey, with that, I say shalom. I'm on to the next.